Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing well. We're bringing you back some Daily Daves, bringing them back up to the top of the list as a numbered episode because there's some really good stuff here that you probably missed or you've completely forgotten about. So I'm adding to because we're doing daily episodes, right? So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm gonna get these bonus episodes into a numbered episode because they're there. They don't technically count towards my episode count. So I'm always having to do math and bring these daily Daves and add them into my numbered episodes. And it's a whole thing. So by bringing these forward, we get to touch on a little bit of what we talked about in the past. The content's still relevant, and I miss the young Dave. So I get to reminisce a little bit. So we're going to be talking about word of mouth advertising. I have a book recommendation for you. Lots of good stuff. Here we go. So I have a few thoughts for you as you get out there and get on podcast as a guest. Great way for you to promote your new podcast and get out there in front of other listeners is to go and be a guest on shows before you go spending hours on Facebook. Or Instagram, TikTok, doing all the dances and all that. Go and be a guest. Please, for the love of all things podcasting, be a guest on someone's show and talk to people who listen to a podcast. Okay? Before you go and spin your wheels anywhere else, invest some time to be on someone's show as a guest. Come and be a part of a listening community so people can hear you as a guest. So I got a few thoughts for you here. Things that you should consider when you approach to be a guest on a show, but also things that you can do after the podcast goes into the world to leverage the content of your episode on someone else's show. So as a podcast host with 7 podcasts, over 650 episodes, over 65,000 listens in the last few years. I've had the opportunity to talk to many people as guests on my show. Here's what I am looking for. All right, behind the scenes, you ready? I'm looking for a guest who comes to my show who brings me content, brings me something to talk about. I'm looking for you to come to the show and bring your best. What are you an expert in? What do you know? What have you experienced? What have you learned? And does it fit with my audience? How will my audience benefit from you being on the show? I get random emails from companies that are trying to get their people on my show, and the expert they're proposing to be a perfect fit for my audience, they don't know anything about my show, apparently, because their proposed guest has no relevance to my audience. And it's a no. I'm looking for people who match with my audience. So if you want to know if you match with the audience, listen to an episode of the podcast that you want to be on. How does the host talk to their guests? How does the host interact with the audience? Find out some information. Listen to the show. Do you think you're a good fit for the show based on what you're hearing? Look at the topics. Look at the show titles. Go to their website. Do some homework before you reach out and say, hey, I think I would be a great guest on your show. Show up with value. Help the host to create content, because as a podcast host, I can tell you the moment I hit stop on this recording, I'm thinking about the next one that I need to record and what am I going to talk about next. And if an email pops up in my inbox saying, hey, Dave, love the show, liked episode 34 where you talked about this, I think that we should talk about this and I would love to come on your show because I'm an expert in that topic. And I would love to have a great conversation and serve your audience. I have to make another episode, and here's someone offering to help me. Let me think. Okay. That's how easy that is. Do your homework. Now, when you're on with the guest, as you're guesting on a show and you come on as the guest, think about how you can honor the host. Now, I'm not looking for flattery here, but I'm telling you, you come on to someone's show as a guest, they have an audience, and their audience loves them as a host. So if you can come on as a guest and speak on behalf of the listening audience and thank the host for a great show, thank the host for all of their hard work in creating this podcast that you're guesting on, and you get to be the voice of the listeners, where the listeners like, yeah, I agree. This host is amazing, and you're lucky to be on his show. You're lucky to be on her show. Yeah, you are. Speak for the audience and thank the host for all the amazing things that they do on a regular basis, and that you're so happy and glad to be a part of this community. As a guest, you're not just popping in for one episode. You're signing up to be part of this community. And your audience, the audience for that host, will pick up on anything that's fake. So speak on behalf of the audience and praise your host that invited you onto their show. And the one thing that I would say to you, once the episode's all done, understand that the host has a lot of things going on. And there might be some delay hearing back from the host when the podcast episode is out. You might find out the episode is live before you hear back from the host. If that's the case, reach out, thank the host. Thank them for the time they invested in you as a guest. Offer to help promote the episode. Offer to do whatever you can as the guest to help them in promoting that show. And then the other thing I would say is, if your host, when you're guesting on a show, promotes your episode on YouTube, and they release the entire episode on YouTube, what I would say to you as a guest is, when you're watching the video, you look down below, beneath where the video is playing, you're going to see the little save button. Click that and save that episode into a playlist on your YouTube channel. Of all of the places you've been as a guest, save them into one location and share that link out on your website or in an email blast or in your social media. Share that link to people so they can hear you on someone else's show. And by doing this, you are going to give your audience the chance to hear you talk about your life, your topics, you as a person, in a way you might not normally do or think to do. So create that opportunity to get your word out there by using that playlist for your advantage. And then the other thing, take the transcript of your conversation with that host, download it, and use that for your content. Because you're going to say things, and things are going to come out during that interview, again, that you might not think to write down yourself. Use that as a resource for you as a host, as a guest, and in your content in communicating with your community. That's content you've created. No need to sit down and write something new. Take that episode and share it with your audience so that they can connect with you as well. Being a guest on podcasting is, in effect, word of mouth marketing. And podcasting lives and breathes on word of mouth marketing. Word of mouth marketing is probably the most effective way to get out in front of people. And to do that, your voice, your presence on somebody's podcast could be the magic key that unlocks an entirely new audience. So find another podcast in your area, in your niche, in your niche, if you live in the US. Find that group where your expertise would be a great addition to the content for that host. Get out there, make introductions, bring value, repurpose that content for yourself. And the best part of this, I think, is to speak on behalf of the audience for that host, for their show, and praise the host of that podcast. You get the unique opportunity to say what the listeners wish they had a chance to say. Do that. And share your content when you reach out with that email and ask to be part of someone's show. If you want to be on any of my podcasts, including this one, the How to Podcast series, I would love to have you. Go to howtopodcast.ca. Leave me a message. You can leave me a voice message through the speak pipe right on my website. You can also email me and let me know if you think that you would be a great fit for this show. I'm looking for co-hosts. One step above an interview. I want to have a conversation with you on the podcast. And together, you and I can help the person listening to this show to start a podcast, grow their podcast, get past any hurdle that stands in their way, and get their word out into the world. Will you help me to do that by being a co-host on my show? Would you? No, really. I really would love to have you come on my show. howtopodcast.ca. Let's get you in front of other podcast listeners. Go where the listeners are and be a guest on somebody's show. howtopodcast.ca. Can't wait to have you on my show. Take care and get out there and do your podcast. And do it well. Take care. You're still here. Amazing. Okay, so, all right. So this show is meant to be more than just me talking about podcasting and giving you suggestions and pointing you in the right direction and supporting you. It's also meant to be a demonstration as well of how you can podcast. And so I'm demonstrating right now a little bonus tip at the end of the episode, encouraging my listeners to listen longer. You're here, so it worked. Awesome. So that's one thing. But I'm also experimenting in real time for you as a listener. So one of the things I would say to you is when I listen to podcasts, often I hear podcasters fall into this trap in what they say. They'll say, if you're listening to this show, and it's quite obvious that they are because they heard you say it. So instead of saying, if you are listening to this part, if you are still here listening, if you are listening to this show, you're still here. That's amazing. Okay, this is that bonus content that most people don't even know about. So you've cracked the code. Congratulations. Jump to the front of the line. Nobody else knows what we're talking about. Just you and me. This whole word of mouth marketing. It's great when it happens for you, but I think as podcasters, you and I, we need to initiate it, spark it. We need to start the ball, get the ball rolling. So I'm asking for you to do word of mouth marketing support for a podcaster in your community. Somebody who does what you do or adjacent to what you do. So if you're an accounting podcast, maybe there's somebody who does business mindset and you really admire their show. I have a dad podcast and I just found a mom podcast, and the stuff that I've learned in like 5 episodes, I'm not the target audience, but I'm a dad, and I've learned so much that would have been so helpful for me as a new dad. I would have been way more helpful for my wife and with the kids, and I would have been smarter had I had this content back then. Well, there was no podcast back then, but I would have been so much better as a husband if I had known this information. That's what I love about podcasts. So when you find a show that you love and you admire, it could just be entertainment value, it could be information, it could be companionship, all of the things that we want our show to be for others, those shows are for you. And don't hog this or hide it or keep it from your audience. Let your audience see you as a listener, not just a podcaster, and share the shows. point people in their direction, invite that person onto your show, do a swap of your content. You play their episode, they play your episode. There's a lot of things we can do together to encourage other podcasters. So before you expect anything from anybody else, I would like to invite you to be the first to get the thing going. Don't do what you won't do yourself. And don't ask from your audience to do anything that you're not willing to do. You're not willing to step up and do. You need to lead by example. You go through the door first before you ask your audience to do anything for you. Leave a review, leave a rating, send me a DM, send me a message. Are you doing that for anybody else? Because it's a mismatch, I think. And I think we're not being true to ourselves if we're going to ask somebody to do something for us that we're not willing to do for anybody else. So either continue not supporting other podcasters, not doing the things that will help another podcaster grow, and then remove those requests from your CTAs as well. Remove those requests from the end of your show because you're not willing to do them for somebody else. You probably shouldn't benefit from it yourself. We need to set the example as podcasters. It starts with us. So if you have those things at the end of your show, you're asking people like here to buy me a coffee, then are you buying anybody a coffee? Are you? It's a good question to ponder. Talk to you tomorrow.